Hello everyone. Now today I've got a film here, one of my favourites that I'd like to review. It was made in 1984 and it was directed by Ron Howard, and it stars Tom Hanks, John Candy, Daryl Hannah. I should have said that the other way around, never mind. Daryl Hannah and Eugene Levy, to name but a few. And the film is Splash. Like I say, it was made in 1984 and it's a really good movie, really good romantic comedy film. And it's basically about a guy who falls in love with a mermaid who saved him from drowning years ago as a boy. He jumps off like a ferry. I'm not sure why he jumps off the ferry. He seems to see like the sun gleaming in the water or something, and he's sort of mesmerized by something in the water, and he jumps in and he can't swim, and this mermaid, and the mermaid's young as well, like a young girl, comes along and saves him, rescues him from drowning, like I say. And then the film jumps forward to the present day, and Tom Hanks is having sort of girlfriend problems, and his girlfriend breaks up with him due to the fact that she says he doesn't really love her. He never says he loves her or anything. And he's depressed about it and everything, so he goes back to Cape Cod, and he gets a lift off this weird guy who has a tiny little boat with a little motorboat, and he gets in the boat and he takes him across to the island at Cape Cod. And then the motor sort of cuts out and the guy jumps overboard to go and get the other boat. But Tom Hanks tries to fix the motor while he's away, because he, like I said, he can't swim and he's terrified when he's in the boat and that, out in the sea. Anyway, he falls in the water and bangs his head again, and the mermaid comes along again and saves him yet again. And then he loses contact with her again. He goes back to where he lives in the city, and the mermaid actually finds his wallet with all his ID and everything in because he drops it under the sea when he bumps his head, and she tracks him down. From that, she goes to New York to find him, and basically she meets up with him again, and they start having this romance and stuff. And she hasn't got a name, so he names her after a street sign. She likes the name of the street sign. It's like Madison Avenue or something, so they call her Madison after the street name. And the film is a very good film, especially if you like romantic films and good comedies. John Candy plays a good part in this. He plays Tom Hanks's brother Freddie, and he's really funny in this. He keeps dropping coins on the ground next to girls and that, and so he can get down, pretend to pick them up and look up their skirts. He does this as a kid, and he also does the same thing as an adult as well. And the film also features Eugene Levy as a scientist, some sort of scientist, and he's trying to track down Daryl Hannah, the mermaid. He knows there's a mermaid somehow, because he learned about mermaids years ago from this other guy or something, and he's convinced there's a mermaid on the loose in New York City. Well, he's looking for her in the ocean, and he does bump into her at one point, and then he loses her again, and then he sees a news story in the paper saying there's this naked girl at the Statue of Liberty, and he puts two and two together and he thinks, hang on a minute, sounds like it could be the mermaid. And then he goes back to New York City, and of course he tracks her down, and he keeps trying to throw water on her so she'll grow her tail, because every time she gets wet she grows a tail. Her tail sort of grows. And he's trying to expose her as a mermaid to the world so he can prove he's not crazy, and she is actually a mermaid. But the film, like I say, is a very good film. It's well directed by Ron Howard, and I don't know if it's a classic, but it's very popular. I listened to a bit of the audio commentary, just the start of it, because it does feature an audio commentary by Ron Howard and a few other of the filmmakers. and he said this film was modestly budgeted. Had a modest budget. It wasn't a big, massive budget film. So that might explain what I'm about to tell you about the transfer, because the transfer on this is very disappointing in my opinion. I mean, it looks good on some of the underwater scenes, but most of the other scenes, the daylight scenes, don't look too bad. But overall, the film looks soft and smeary. It looks like it's been digitally messed with, like they've tried to remove most of the grain, sort of soften it, like disguise it and stuff, cover it up. That's what it looks like to me anyway. I'm no expert on it, but it just has this unattractive look to it, and it isn't very sharp at all, the film, throughout. In fact, it doesn't look much better than a DVD, actually. I mean, I haven't seen the DVD version of this, but it probably looks better than the DVD of this film. But I have seen other DVDs that look better than this Blu Ray. So that should tell you roughly what the transfer is like. Not a very good one, in my opinion. I was very disappointed with the transfer, because it was made in 1984, like I say, and I watched The Sure Thing recently, which was made in 1985, and I think that film had a lower budget than this one, and that film looked excellent. The transfer was excellent on that one, and that was just made 1 year after this one, so why does this one look so bad? It must be something to do with the fact that it's on Touchstone Pictures, I think, because I've seen a lot of Touchstone Pictures films on Blu Ray, mainly on the Mill Creek label, on US import, and some of the transfers are okay, some of them are terrible, and some of them are very good. So it's a bit of a mixed bag when it comes to Touchstone Pictures stuff, I think. I don't think, because it's owned by Disney, you see, it's basically a Disney film without the Disney label on it. And I don't know, I just don't think they put the effort in. I think this possibly has had some sort of remaster. I don't know whether it's a remaster or they've just messed with it, just trying to cover the grain up and stuff. It does look like it's been brightened up a bit, like the colours and stuff. The colours looked quite strong in places. But it didn't look like, you know, when you see these pristine looking older films where they've been brightened up, they look really clear and colourful and bright. It didn't have that look about it, like they look sharp and everything. This one wasn't very sharp at all, like I say. It's mainly soft. Not very detailed, you know. Very disappointing in my opinion. And the sound is supposed to be in 5.1, which is obviously a remix, supposed to be. But there's nothing. I didn't hear any effects or anything coming out of the rear speakers. There was just a tiny little bit of music coming out of the rear speakers later on in the film, but very little. You could hardly hear it at all. So, as for a surround sound experience, it was terrible as well, because there was nothing coming out of the rear speakers or anything. Everything seemed to be firmly coming out of the center speaker and maybe out the left and right a little bit. But apart from that, you wouldn't think you were listening to a 5.1 soundtrack, you know. So I think that was pretty disappointing overall. Great film, terrible transfer, mediocre sound. I mean, you could hear what they were saying okay and everything, so it was good on that sort of level, but just disappointing overall, you know. And the extras on the disc include behind the scenes featurette that lasts about nearly half an hour, with interviews with Ron Howard and a few other people. I haven't watched it all. I watched the start of it. And like I say, I've only listened to a little bit of the audio commentary, but what I heard of it so far sounded pretty good. And there's an introduction by Ron Howard and Brian Grazer, and the writers of the film as well. You can click on if you want. Actually, it came up when I clicked on audio commentary for the option to watch the introduction. I don't think it come up before you watch the film. Usually you get an introduction before the film comes on, not the audio commentary, so that was a bit strange. Never mind. And I must point out, as far as I'm aware, this is the only version of Splash on Blu Ray that's available, and this one is the Australian import. For some reason, it's only been released in Australia why they've chose Australia to release this film on Blu-ray first before any other country is beyond me. I'm a bit baffled by that, to say the least. So it's a bit strange. But anyway, that's pretty much it. And here's the back cover, which has some nice pictures on and stuff. And you might be able to see the details down here. Hopefully you can see them. And it tells you the special features up here, I think. So a quick shot of that. And there's no slipcover with this. I didn't get a slipcover with mine. You very rarely get slipcovers on the Australian versions, I've noticed. All the Australian Blu-rays I've got don't have slipcovers on. Don't know why that is. Maybe they just don't like slipcovers in Australia or something. I don't know. And the disc inside is pretty basic as well. Some pictures on the inside of the cover, the same as the front cover. But there's the disc, just a blue disc with the title of the film on it. So that's basically all you get there. So yes, so I still recommend this film, obviously, because it's a really good film. But I was hoping like maybe a better version would come out over here or in America on Blu-ray, but I think the chances of that are very slim because it's on Touchstone Pictures on this Blu-ray, so it'll pretty much probably be the same version that gets released in America and over here. I don't think they're going to do like a special, you know, like another company getting a hold of it like Arrow or something. I don't think that's going to happen because it's Touchstone Pictures. I don't think they'll allow their films out by other companies. Well, they've done it with Mill Creek. Mill Creek's got some of their films, haven't they? So you never know. I don't know. You never know. I don't think it's quite popular enough maybe to do a proper remaster on it, maybe. I don't know, because it was made in 1984, like I keep saying, but so it's quite an old film now. But I don't know, it's just disappointing that they can't release a better version with a better transfer, you know, and better surround sound and stuff. But anyway, that's pretty much all I've got to say about Splash, I think. Oh, and Ron Howard's late father pops up in a scene or two in this, playing some guy that's after some cherries, I think, where Tom Hanks works. He often crops up in a lot of films, like in cameo appearances. But he passed away not long ago, which is unfortunate. But anyway, I just thought I'd point that out. And there's lots of good scenes in this film, including one memorable scene where he takes Daryl Hannah, the mermaid, Madison, to dinner at a restaurant, a posh restaurant. And for some reason they order lobster. They've both got a lobster each, and she just starts ripping bits of the lobster off and biting into it and hacking away at it with her teeth, just biting it. And everyone in the restaurant's like staring at her and everything. Because that's so they don't expect someone to just start biting into a lobster, you know. In a restaurant you're supposed to use a knife and fork and everything. Yeah, so that was a good scene. So anyway, I'd just like to thank you all very much for watching this video, and I shall see you on the next one. So bye for now. See you later.